The story begins with an eerie silence hanging over Earth as an enormous alien fleet emerges from the dark depths of space, its presence unknown to humanity until it is almost too late. The alien race, the Xerics, are a known force in the galaxy, with a reputation for their advanced technology and ruthless conquests. For centuries, they have swept through countless star systems, taking what they need with little resistance. Their philosophy is simple: conquer, enslave, and exploit. They have always believed that no species, certainly not one as primitive as humans, could stand in their way. But when the Xerics arrive at Earth, they are not prepared for what they find. Rather than the small, defenseless planet they expected, they see something entirely different: a new power rising in the cosmos. As the Xerics' ships lower into Earth's atmosphere, their massive forms blotting out the sun, Captain Alara Hayes, the leader of Earth's defense fleet, prepares for what could be humanity's most important moment: a peaceful negotiation. While most of humanity braces for war, Hayes remains calm. She knows this is their only chance to prove that Earth is not to be underestimated. A team of diplomats and scientists are on board, ready to engage with the alien leaders, but even they are uncertain what to expect. Earth has never faced a threat like the Xerics, but they have one secret: the newly constructed warships, the Aegis Ascendant, which dwarfs anything the Xerics have ever seen. The Aegis Ascendant is humanity's proudest creation, a massive ship built not just for war, but to symbolize Earth's strength, technological prowess, and determination. As the Xerics' fleet descends over the planet, they see the first glimpse of the Aegis Ascendant. At first, they dismiss it, assuming it is a secondary ship, perhaps an older design. But as they draw closer, they realize the truth: this is no ordinary vessel. The Aegis Ascendant is a gargantuan warship, its hull gleaming, with an array of advanced weaponry and defense systems. The sheer size of the ship is enough to leave the Xerics stunned. To them, spacefaring civilizations typically built ships that were compact, efficient, and technologically refined, nothing like this monstrous structure. The Aegis Ascendant is an embodiment of human strength, and as they approach, the Xerics begin to doubt their initial assumptions about Earth. Inside the Aegis Ascendant, the crew is ready but tense. Captain Hayes stands at the helm, her eyes fixed on the viewports, watching the alien ships descend like ominous shadows. She knows the Xerics are used to dominance, but she also knows that humanity has something they don't: innovation. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, have never had to face a force like this. Human creativity, the ability to think beyond conventional limits, and the determination to survive at all costs. But the truth of the situation is that the Xerics do not come in peace, and this moment of first contact could easily turn into a battle for survival. On the alien ships, the mood is shifting. The Xerics commanders, who initially viewed Earth's defenses with casual disdain, are now filled with unease. The massive scale of the Aegis Ascendant alone is enough to challenge their entire understanding of interstellar warfare. They begin to question their readiness. The ships they have spent centuries building, sleek, fast, and deadly, are nothing compared to this new human creation. This warship is not designed to be fast or efficient. It is designed to overpower and overwhelm, a symbol of human ambition. The Xerics, whose greatest pride lies in their ability to conquer and dominate, now find themselves facing a challenge that they didn't expect: a new species whose power cannot be measured by size alone. It is a dangerous unknown, and the Xerics cannot shake the feeling that they might have just underestimated humanity. As the two fleets hover in orbit above Earth, an uneasy silence spreads through the communication channels. The humans, with their great ship standing tall against the dark canvas of space, are not cowed. The Xerics, for the first time in centuries, find themselves caught between admiration and uncertainty. The size of the Aegis Ascendant challenges everything they thought they knew about spacefaring civilizations. They realize, perhaps for the first time, that humanity is not just a primitive species trying to survive. Humanity is a force to be reckoned with. But as the first signals of communication begin to crackle through the airwaves, Neither side knows what the next move will be. Will it be diplomacy? Or will the Aegis Ascendant become the weapon that changes the galaxy forever? The Xerix leaders, still reeling from their initial shock at the size of humanity's starship, soon realize that the humans are not just some primitive species to be brushed aside. Instead of cowering in fear, as the Xerix had expected, humans are standing tall, ready to assert their presence in the galaxy. Without hesitation, Captain Elara Hayes, humanity's most formidable diplomat, steps forward. Her task is not just to represent Earth, but to show the Xerix that Earth is more than capable of holding its own. The Xerix had prepared for war, or at least a confrontation, but now it seems they are walking into something far beyond their expectations. The Aegis Ascendant, a ship of such gargantuan proportions that it seems to challenge the very laws of physics, stands as a testament to human ingenuity. Its hull stretches out in all directions, covered in advanced plating and layered with intricate defense systems. It is a vessel meant for far more than simple battle. It is a floating city, home to nearly 100,000 people. Its size alone is enough to unsettle the Xerix. The ship's length, its vast corridors and sprawling decks would dwarf any of the Xerix ships, and the alien leaders feel their unease grow as they are invited aboard. When the Xerix commanders board the Aegis Ascendant, they are met by a world entirely unlike anything they've ever seen. The human ship is a marvel of design. The corridors are wide enough to fit entire fleets of their ships within them, and the technology embedded within the walls is unlike anything the Xerix have ever encountered. As they move deeper into the ship, they find themselves surrounded by vast spaces, floors upon floors of advanced technology, housing, and systems that seem to function in ways they can barely comprehend. Every corner of the ship has been designed for efficiency and defense, with energy shields so powerful that even their most advanced weapons would be ineffective against them. To the Xerix, this is an unknown, a weapon of mass power, a ship not just designed to fight, but to survive anything. But it is not just the scale of the Aegis Ascendant that leaves them awestruck. It is the sheer resourcefulness of humanity. The Xerix are used to thinking of themselves as the masters of technological innovation, but the humans, in what seems like the blink of an eye, have achieved what took the Xerix millennia. The reactor core at the heart of the Aegis Ascendant is capable of generating enough energy to destroy entire solar systems. The Xerix, who had believed their technology to be the pinnacle of achievement, now face a stark reality. Humanity's ability to innovate and build far outpaces their own. The Aegis Ascendant is not just a ship. It is a symbol of what humanity is capable of when they set their minds to something. The Xerix had thought the humans a simple, primitive species, an afterthought in the grand cosmic scale. Now, they are seeing the error in their judgment. As the Xerix wander through the vast hallways, taking in the advanced artificial intelligence systems that govern every aspect of the ship's operations, they begin to question everything they knew about humanity. They had dismissed the humans as weak, unworthy of notice. But now they see that their arrogance may have been their undoing. The humans, with their limitless potential for innovation and their unrelenting drive, are not a species to be underestimated. The St. Xerix leaders, who had once been so sure of their place at the top of the galactic hierarchy, now find themselves questioning their assumptions. They are seeing humanity not as a nuisance, but as a potential rival, one that could rise to surpass even the mighty Xerix. The Aegis Ascendant is just the beginning. The humans are not content to stay in their corner of the galaxy. They are growing, evolving, and if the Xerix are not careful, they could become the dominant force in the universe. As Captain Hayes and the Xerix leaders continue their negotiations, a sense of awe and fear grows within the alien commanders. They had come to Earth expecting to crush a weak species underfoot, but now, as they stand within the walls of the Aegis Ascendant, they feel the weight of their own arrogance pressing down on them. The human race, once a footnote in the history of the galaxy, is now a powerful force to be reckoned with. The Xerics are left with only one question. How long until humanity's influence spreads beyond Earth? And when it does, will the galaxy be ready for what comes next? As the days passed aboard the Aegis Ascendant, the Xerics began to slowly unravel the mysteries of human technology. What had initially struck them as primitive or crude was quickly becoming a source of awe. Captain Elara Hayes and her crew led the Xerics through the vast corridors of the ship, showcasing human innovation in all its glory. The Aegis Ascendant was a marvel, a creation of staggering proportions that could not just withstand, but adapt to any battle scenario. Its defensive capabilities were unlike anything the Xerics had ever encountered. The ship was designed to shift and reconfigure its structure mid-flight, optimizing its performance in combat depending on the situation. Its shape could change, its weapons could recalibrate, and its systems could adjust faster than the Xerics had thought possible. But the Aegis Ascendant was just the beginning. As the Xerics learned more about the human race, they were introduced to even greater feats of engineering. The humans had mastered not only traditional weaponry, but had unlocked the secrets of energy manipulation and nanotechnology. The Xerics had once thought these sciences to be the realm of impossibility, reserved for only the most advanced civilizations in the universe. Yet here were humans, working on techniques that were still far beyond their own understanding. In secret laboratories deep within the Aegis Ascendant, human scientists had cracked the code for energy weapons that could rival the Xerics' most sophisticated tech. Their ability to harness and manipulate raw energy was growing by the day, and the Xerics found themselves struggling to keep up. Even more shocking was humanity's adaptability. The Xerics had long been proud of their ability to conquer and absorb technology, yet the humans demonstrated an uncanny talent for reverse engineering alien devices and improving them with stunning speed. The Xerics, who had spent thousands of years perfecting their own ships and weaponry, now found their creations pale in comparison to the innovative strides made by humanity in a mere few decades. The Aegis Ascendant, with its blend of reverse-engineered alien technology and uniquely human designs, was proof that the humans were not just survivors, but creators. Engineers capable of taking what they learned and advancing it at an exponential rate. What had once been viewed as an unremarkable race now stood on the edge of a technological revolution. The Xerics' leadership, who had initially viewed humanity as a fleeting curiosity, now began to grow uneasy. They had come to Earth expecting to see a primitive, helpless species that would fold under pressure. Instead, they were witnessing the rise of a power they had not anticipated. Every day spent on the Aegis Ascendant made it clearer that human ingenuity was no accident. It was the key to their survival and growth. And now, it was beginning to challenge the Xerics' place at the top of the galactic hierarchy. The Aegis Ascendant was only one ship, but humanity was rapidly expanding its fleet. What would happen when they had more ships like it? More breakthroughs in technology, as the Xerics' leaders gathered in their council chambers aboard their own vessels. The mood had shifted. The smug confidence that had once defined their every action was now replaced with a sense of urgency. Their once unchallenged dominance in the galaxy was under threat. Human innovation, once seen as an amusing anomaly, now seemed like a serious challenge. The Xerics had spent centuries perfecting their technology, their strategy, their conquests, and yet here was a species that had, in the span of only a few generations, achieved feats they hadn't even considered. The humans were not only capable of achieving what was thought impossible, but they were doing it faster than anyone could have predicted. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and the Xerics were beginning to realize that they might not be able to stop it. If humanity continued on its current path, the humans would not only be a force to be reckoned with, they could surpass the Xerics entirely. The very foundation of the galactic order seemed unstable now, and the Xerics were left wondering how long it would take before Earth and its rapidly advancing technologies would rise to challenge them for control of the stars. The Xerics could no longer dismiss humanity as a mere nuisance. They had to acknowledge the inevitable truth. Earth's rise was only the beginning of a new era, one that the Xerics might not be able to control. And with every new breakthrough, it became clearer that humanity was the greatest threat to the galactic order that the Xirics had ever faced. As the days wore on, the Xirics' leadership found themselves caught in a whirlwind of doubt and recognition. The looming presence of human starships, especially the Aegis Ascendant, cast a shadow over their once unshakable confidence. The Xirics had always prided themselves on their technological might and their centuries of dominance across the galaxy. But now, with these colossal human ships hanging in their skies, they were forced to confront a troubling reality. War with Earth would be a devastating gamble. No matter how advanced their own fleets were, they could not ignore the undeniable fact that humanity had become a powerful force, one that could potentially outclass the Xirics in both size and innovation. The Xirics had spent centuries conquering others, yet here was a species that had risen to challenge them in mere decades. For the first time in their long history, the Xirics considered the possibility of cooperation instead of domination. The thought was both alien and revolutionary. For the Xirics, the idea of aligning with another species, especially one they had initially deemed insignificant, felt like an admission of weakness. Their culture was built on the notion of superiority, but the humans had shattered that belief with their unmatched adaptability and ingenuity. Captain Elara Hayes, who had stood unflinching in the face of alien superiority, saw an opportunity. She knew that humanity had much to offer, not just in terms of military might, but in the realm of knowledge, exploration, and cooperation. In a bold and unprecedented move, Captain Hayes proposed an alliance. She offered the Xirics an opportunity to join humanity in exploring the stars, to share knowledge, and to combine their strengths. The proposal was simple but audacious. Earth would not seek to conquer, but would demand respect and recognition. Humans would not be subject to the Xirics, nor would they simply accept being pushed aside. Instead, they offered a partnership, one that could elevate both species. But as Hayes spoke, she could see the hesitation in the Xirics leader's eyes. The idea of working alongside another species, one that was growing at such a rapid pace, was a bitter pill for the Xirics to swallow. The thought of sharing the galaxy, of no longer being the undisputed rulers, was something they could hardly fathom. The negotiations grew tense. The Xirics were caught between their pride and the cold logic of survival. Captain Hayes, calm and composed, pushed for a temporary truce. Humanity's starships, with their monumental size and cutting-edge technology, would serve as a symbol of the changing balance of power. They were not just weapons, they were a statement. Humanity had arrived, and they were here to stay. The Xirics were faced with a decision. Continue down the path of conflict, with all the risks and costs that would entail, or accept an uncertain peace, one that would alter the future of the galaxy forever. After much deliberation, the Xirics agreed to a fragile truce. It was not an alliance yet, but it was a step in that direction. The two species would work together on exploration, knowledge sharing, and trade, but both knew that trust would take time to build. The Xirics could not easily abandon their belief in their own superiority, and humanity, for all its newfound strength, was not yet ready to submit to the Xirics. The truce was uneasy, fraught with underlying tension, but it was a beginning, a new chapter in the galactic narrative. However, the Xirics' leadership could not escape the nagging worry that lingered in their minds. As they looked at the human starships, their colossal shapes dominating the skies, they couldn't help but wonder, what would happen when humanity's potential was fully realized? Could the galaxy handle a species so capable, so adaptable, and so eager to grow? The fear that humanity might rise too quickly, that their power might become too great, began to haunt the Xirics' leaders. What if the humans, with their seemingly boundless ingenuity, began to outpace them in every way? The very ships that symbolized their new partnership were also a reminder of the risks involved. In the quiet moments after the agreement was made, as the Xirics' leaders retreated to their own chambers, the weight of the situation pressed down on them. The alliance may have been struck, But the future was uncertain. Both species now walked, a fine line between peace and destruction, and the question that loomed over them all was, would the Xerics be able to coexist with a species that was quickly becoming their equal, or would humanity's rise inevitably lead to their downfall? New threat loomed on the horizon, one far greater and more terrifying than the Xerics had ever imagined. The Thraxians, a species of ruthless conquerors, had emerged from the depths of space, bringing with them technology so advanced that even the Xerics, with all their centuries of dominance, found themselves hopelessly outmatched. The Thraxians' warships were colossal, their weapons incomprehensibly powerful. Their ruthlessness and unyielding drive for expansion made them a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. As the Thraxian fleet advanced, the Xerics realized that their centuries of supremacy were at risk of being wiped out in an instant. The Xerics, who had once seen humanity as nothing more than a fleeting annoyance, now faced the grim reality that without help, they would be crushed by the Thraxian onslaught. In a desperate move, the Xerics turned to humanity for assistance. The earlier doubts that had clouded their judgment, the skepticism and pride, began to fade. They had seen the raw power of human innovation, and now they understood that if they were to survive, they would need humanity's strength. Captain Ilara Hayes, once again at the forefront, agreed to join forces with the Xerics. The Aegis Ascendant, alongside a fleet of other human starships, was now the only hope to stop the Thraxians. The partnership between the two races, once fragile and uncertain, was now a necessity. As the humans and Xerics prepared for the battle of their lives, the true power of human determination and innovation would be revealed. The battle was brutal, an epic clash between the Thraxian war machine and the combined might of humanity and the Xerics. The Aegis Ascendant and its fleet surged into the fray, their massive forms cutting through the stars with terrifying speed. The Xerics, though, still struggling to match the Thraxians' firepower, fought alongside the humans with a newfound respect. The human starships were not just ships, they were a testament to what could be achieved through innovation, ingenuity, and unity. As the battle raged on, the Xerics witnessed firsthand the full might of human engineering. The sheer scale of the human ships, their advanced weaponry, and their ability to adapt and improvise in the heat of battle were a revelation. The humans were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a future where their species could thrive, and they did so with an unrelenting determination that even the Thraxians could not ignore. As the battle reached its climax, the Thraxians began to falter. The combined firepower of the human and Xerics fleets, coordinated with unprecedented precision, overwhelmed the Thraxian ships. The Aegis Ascendant unleashed its devastating weapons in a final, earth-shattering barrage that sent the Thraxian flagship into retreat. The Thraxians, faced with the overwhelming might of two races working in unison, had no choice but to withdraw, forced to reconsider their own understanding of power. The humans, with their incredible starships and fierce will, had proven that they were more than just a force to be reckoned with. They were a new power in the galaxy, one that would shape the future. In the aftermath of the battle, as the wreckage of the Thraxian fleet drifted through the cold void of space, the Xerics finally understood. They had underestimated humanity, and in doing so, they had learned an invaluable lesson. Humanity was no longer the primitive species they had once thought them to be. The humans had shown the Xerics that true strength did not lie in raw power alone, but in innovation, adaptability, and the ability to work together in the face of overwhelming odds. The Xerics, once so sure of their superiority, now saw humanity as their equals, if not their potential superiors in the galaxy. The bond between the two species had been forged in the fires of battle, and it was stronger than ever. The story concluded with the Xerics and humanity standing side by side, their once imbalanced relationship now transformed into an unlikely partnership. The Aegis Ascendant and the other human starships had not only defeated a common enemy, but had also proven that humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer up for debate. The Thraxian threat had been vanquished, but a new chapter had begun. Together, the Xirics and humans would explore the stars, share their knowledge, and build a future where strength and innovation were the foundation of a new era. The galaxy, once divided by fear and pride, now stood united under the banner of progress and unity, thanks to the sheer scale and brilliance of humanity's starships.